Hi, my name is Allison, and this is my cat Jankins, and welcome to my van tour. This is my kitchen. I started with cabinets that were already built. I got them from Habitat for Humanity, and then the middle one we rebuilt. We extended it to fit my fridge, but all of this was kind of repurposed. And so this is an old door that I stained and then we put on top of the cabinets. So this cabinet was, we kind of used the door, but rebuilt the framework. So this holds my water, and I have two 6-gallon tanks that I fill up with water, and then I have one 2-gallon tank for my gray water. And then also my propane is down here. And I have a pump, so I have running water, like that. Over here is my propane stove, so the propane runs underneath. I would suggest if you're building a van, like this is just a tray, but it works as a cover. And it was a last minute thing, but it's actually one of my favorite like little tricks I have in my van, because then it covers it. I don't have to worry about my cat sitting on it and turning it on. And then I get more counter space. So this is my junk drawer. It's got like silverware and all of my like personal items, and then the stove drops in. So this is right here is the cabinet that we had to rebuild because this is my fridge and freezer, which is pretty large. But for me, I like cooking. I've always cooked with a fridge and freezer, so I didn't really want to change how I like cooking because it's something that I do constantly. This is my other one, cabinet with drawers. So this one was already built, and that is probably my biggest gripe. This cabinet right here, just because it's inefficient. I'm constantly digging things out of the back. So if you're building a van, drawers are better than cabinets. And I ended up rebuilding my like closet space as well, because I had one cabinet, and by the time I was getting like the baskets of socks and clothes out, I would be buried, and then I couldn't even reach the last thing. So I ended up building a drawer for over there as well. I like nice things, but when you're on a budget and, a van, you have to find other ways to do stuff. So this is like stick-on tiles. I got this from Amazon. And then these are kind of my pride and joy right here, because I built them all by myself, and I've never built cabinets. I kind of learned woodworking when I was doing this, but I was supposed to get my build in 2 phases. I was going to go travel, come back. So we had a little bit of a break, and me being stubborn and impatient, my dad left for the weekend on a trip with my mom, and I was like, well, I'm just going to learn to build cabinets myself. So when he came back, I had cabinets, and I said, this is how we're going to install them. And so far, they're still up. They haven't fallen apart. So here's my dishes up here, and some spices, and then some extra like dry food storage. Spice rack. Always, like, the magnets are great. These ones, I looked on Amazon for a while and I couldn't find one I liked. So these are actually from the dollar store, and they're, the magnetic tins. And then this strip, I already had, but it's from like the office supply section. So sometimes looking in different areas, like in stores, like, for tools that you can repurpose. I know it's easy just to look in like the home section, but that's where I found the vertical one compared to everything on Amazon is like a square plate, so it takes up more space. So I didn't know that van life was a thing. Literally no idea. I think I had some buses on my Pinterest from like 5 years ago where I was like, oh, that's a cool idea, but didn't really look into it much. Didn't think I'd ever do something like that. And then I went through a breakup. Here's the cliche story of what made you start doing van life. But it was more, I said to my parents, I was like, I'm just gonna live in a van and travel by myself. Like, I don't need anyone else. And then after I got off the phone with them, I realized I can do that. Like, I don't need anyone else. If I want to travel and live a life like that, like, I'm the only one stopping myself. So then I kind of started looking into it, And again, I was naive. I knew nothing. I did it off of Pinterest. So I had 2 blogs that I went off of. And I was like, you know, there's a good amount of information out there. Not even utilizing YouTube, Instagram, all the good ones. But I was like, I started reading and I realized I can do this. So a few things happened at work and in life and, you know, what I wanted to do career-wise. And the stars kind of just aligned. So it seemed like the perfect time, and I didn't have any responsibilities that were tying me anywhere. For me, van life it's just a vehicle, you know, in quotes, because it is a vehicle, but it's more a vehicle to make my other dreams come true. So not being tied down is, you know, allowed me to get out to the Midwest, is where I always wanted to be. But it's pretty hard when you work a regular job, because you know, I would only take 4 days vacation, because anything more than that, I felt like I was overwhelmed, or I'd have to work on vacation. So getting to the Midwest, I couldn't fly there, go vacation and do it justice. So I never really got to go out here. I think I've been to Colorado once. So for me, that was one of the main goals of van life, was getting to go to all the locations that I felt like I really couldn't do with just your typical vacation time. Obviously, building a van by yourself, if you've never done it before, is going to be a big learning experience. And things will probably go wrong, and you just kind of roll with it. So one of the things we realized after putting the kitchen in was that we didn't leave enough room for a second door. So we ended up having to like shave off the edge of this corner and this one so that I could open my doors. But I didn't have enough room for my closet to have 2 doors. So my closet area is halfway back from the bed to the front, and then it goes all the way to this wall, even though, you know, it looks like it's just right here. So I started with one big door, and after like a week of living in here, and, you know, I'd be sitting here trying to reach to the back to get the last basket of socks while I'm buried in my, you know, t-shirts, pants, and shorts, and I can't even reach it. So that was really inefficient. I didn't like it. And again, I learned to build. So I built a drawer that's just like my basic necessities, you know, like socks, underwear, shirts, tops. And then I use from here back for storage of, like, you know, items that I don't use all the time, like, you know, fringe cowgirl boots, because I don't need them every day, but for that one time, you gotta have them. And then down here, I still kind of have the same system with the baskets. So they go all the way back, and then I use that for dirty laundry and like my winter items. But I was originally going to do 2 drawers, and I maybe one day want to add like a bench seat, so I didn't want to have to completely rebuild or waste my time building a drawer that I wouldn't be able to pull out. So that's why I left the bottom one, and it seems to work out for now. The other thing with adding a bench later on is over here is Jankins, my cat's cat tunnel. So she has a little ramp, and then it goes over the wheelbase to the back, and that's where her litter box is. So it's in like the garage portion. Yeah, it was a learning experience. It all works, but like I said, drawers are better than cabinets if you have the option. So this is my bed. I'm obviously a small human. I'm only 5'2", but this bed is actually a slightly bigger than a full, because it's a mattress pad on top of an IKEA futon mattress. So I forget what the inches are, but it's slightly bigger than full. So it looks smaller than it is, but this is actually the same bed that I had in my apartment before this. So again, when you're building on a budget, you're finding ways to repurpose items that you already have. And honestly, I love my bed in here. When I go visit people, they say, oh, you can come stay at my house. I've got a bed for you. I'm like, no, I'd really rather not. Like, I like my bed. It's probably more comfortable than yours. So yeah, but I think, like, I don't know. I'm a small person, but I think if it's 6 foot, I'll have one of my friends stretch out. I did want to put cabinets above, like, the whole line down, and I measured, but once I put the bed in, I was like, that's kind of high. At first I had an issue, like, getting into bed, and my poor cat is, like, launching herself and not making it, but we've adjusted. You just do like a little hop. So then I got these shelf racky things from Hobby Lobby. So they just kind of hold books and knickknacks. So it gave me some extra storage, and it's cute. My van actually came with some like upgrades for Promasters, like this above the seats is shelf, I guess, was already built there. So I got baskets for extra storage. Again, it's things that I probably don't always need, but I like crafting, so I have my craft supplies up here, and I started like an online jewelry business, so then I've got my shipping materials, my basket of electronics, because I feel like everyone has, 1,000 cords and things laying around, so I just put all my electronics like GoPro, chargers up here, speaker, and then I've got my towels up there. So they were previously buried in the closet, and it's just something that I use frequently for washing dishes. It's easier than running your water all the time, so it saves water there. And then I've got like my little like toolkit box. So just right before this, I was like, oh, you know what? I need a place for my hat. So I went up to my toolkit, and I got like one of my hooks, got my drill out, and now I've got another hat hook. So yeah, just having things that, if you don't always have to run to the hardware store if something breaks. And then this I got off of Amazon. It's like a behind the like driver's seat, I don't know, storage thing. But I was constantly moving all of my work stuff, so my computer and all my notebooks, I'd just kind of shuffle them around, and I would have them on my seat. So then when I actually wanted to use my seat, it was inconvenient, and I wouldn't normally like sitting on the floor. But I got this, and I love it. I have so much crap in here, and it's got a strap up top and strap in the bottom. So yeah, I highly suggest that because I love that thing. The hardest thing for me, I mean, everybody has their struggles, but I would say the finances and constantly getting work is the most stressful thing for me. When I quit my 9-to-5 job, I started working towards building my own business online. So I finally launched it this year. I'm very proud of it. I've worked super hard, but it is very difficult to, actively search out new work. So I own my own marketing business online. But I am directly the one affecting my own income. So if I'm not working to find new work, then I won't be making any money. So I still have a loan, like I bought my van, but I still have stuff to pay off, and I pay for my health insurance and living expenses, so it can definitely be a little stressful. But I started my own marketing business online. I just did like the jewelry thing for fun because that was my COVID craft. But it's been an experience so far. So I always tell people, like, there's different ways to make money on the road. Sometimes you might have to let your ego go and take the job that's going to pay you. But if you really want to make your dreams happen, then you do the work to allow yourself to do that. So however you do that financially. So this is my garage area. It's from like the middle of the bed back. This is all my storage. So on the back wall, I have all of my electric. So most of it is 12 volt. And then I've got my solar panel controller. I have a DC to DC battery charger. So that's my main source of charging and power. That while I'm driving and the engine's running, it's recharging my backup batteries. And I have two 100 amp AGM batteries. And then when I'm parked for a long time, that's when my solar kind of just helps trickle charge those batteries. And then I have a 1500 watt inverter, so I can run 120. Most things you can get 12 volt, but like my computer charger was one thing that I couldn't find a converter for, so I needed an inverter. And honestly, we use it a lot. We've been making margaritas all week, and the Magic Bullet plugs in nicely, curl my hair. So yeah, it works out nicely. And my uncle who helped me build this, was my uncle, my dad, is a phenomenal handyman and electrician. So he was the one who did all my wiring and why it looks so pristine. But when I open up my van, that's probably the thing I get compliments on the most, is guys being like, oh wow, like your electric's so nice. So yeah, so then over here is Jankins litter box. So this goes from the tunnel from the front, goes over, and then she's got her little litter box. I can take it out from the back to change it. And it's closed in on top, so I really don't have to deal with any sort of litter box smell. And then just down here is open for more storage. And then all the toys back here. So this is a cat stroller. In case of emergencies, you know, it's somewhere that I can put her in and close it up. Like I went to get an oil change and she went in her stroller. And then this, again, it's like when you are building with a cat, you have to do a little bit more adaptations and think outside the box of how you're gonna build a van for a cat. So this is like, it folds up, but when the doors are closed, these sit in the shelf so that she couldn't get down here. One time I forgot to put it up, and in the middle of night in Montana, I'm fighting my cat in the parking lot of Walmart in bare feet. I wasn't having it. She thought we were playing and she's back in the batteries, and I was just like, ah! So I closed the door, and then by the time I came back, she was right here. So that's fun. But that's, you know, cat people always ask me, what do I do to keep her in? So this is a cat modification, and then I actually have a tray that goes over my door panel controls, because kitty cat walks everywhere and unlocks the van constantly. So finding something that would cover that was important. And then I just, you know, ended up, these used to be under my bed as well in a bin, and I was constantly trying to pull them out. So I just screwed in a shoe rack back here, and now I've got extra storage for more shoes, because I have a lot of shoes. Yeah. So this is my roof deck. It's actually one of my favorite parts of the van, because it's been our party pad all weekend. Just everybody's been chilling up here, you know, watching the sunset. But the one thing when I was building my van, like I've said before, was keeping cost in mind, and I just didn't really have the budget for a really big roof rack, but I knew I wanted something up here. So we built everything ourselves. We started with 1-inch square aluminum tubing. So that got put into the roof when we installed the solar panel and the fan. And then we went back later, and I just got regular boards. I stained them with like outdoor decking stain so that they'd be weatherproof. And then we used a rivet gun to attach them. We actually went back and forth if we were going to do rivets or bolts, but we realized that bolts would be pretty hard, because we couldn't, it would be really hard for me to get my hands underneath the boards and underneath the tubing to put it on. So we ended up going with the rivets, and this was my first time ever doing rivets, and we used a handgun, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. I mean, I was up here for 8 hours, and my hands are small, so I was like reaching as far as I could around the gun, and like I was squeezing it, and by the end of the day, I was like, you know, putting one end on my knee and like throwing my body weight to like crunch the rivet down. And I think we got 75 done before it broke, but it took 8 hours. So I ended up going to my friend's house and using the air compressor to finish it. I think there's like 150 rivets in here, and we finished the second half in like 2 hours. But at the same time, he said it was rite of passage where you have to learn to use a handgun before you get to use an air compressor. But highly suggest a roof deck, even if you know, have a smaller one. It's just a great place to hang out and watch some sunsets. So yeah, I love it. So anyone who's interested in doing van life, biggest advice I can give you is look at your finances and figure out what your budget is. And then once you pick your budget that you're comfortable working with, find things that fit that. So depending on what vehicle it is, there's so many things. I've seen that, you know, after being on the road where people have converted different types of vehicles. I met a guy living out of his Subaru. I've seen people convert ambulances. I've seen people convert trailers. But pick your budget, and then pick a vessel that fits in your budget. Like for me, I really thought I was going to end up having to raise my budget because I'd underestimated how much the van was going to cost, but I didn't, and I kept looking, and I found my van, which I spent 20 grand on. That's what I wanted. After doing a lot of research, it was like 5 grand less than market value. But I kept everything in my conversion on a small budget. I ended up spending 5 grand on everything, which is what I really wanted to do. So it's easy to get carried away looking at other people's vans and doing things online, looking at pictures, because you can always do more and want more. But at the end of the day, why do you want it to be like that? Like, if you want it to look nice, make it look nice, but you don't have to blow a ton of money to do it. So I always tell people, find what's comfortable for you and then work with that and get creative and, learn how to do things yourself. For me, I love this project because I feel like I have a new skill set that I didn't have before with building things. Like, if marketing doesn't work out, maybe I'll be a carpenter after this. But it was also very empowering to learn new skills about electric and wiring and how to fix things myself or how to build cabinets. So it's adding things to your life toolbox by doing it yourself. So if you have the ability to do it yourself, I suggest it. You're going to know your van better when you go to live in it compared to buying a van. But not everybody has the time, space to do it or the tools. But also reach out to your community, ask people to borrow their tools or for help building things. So it's a way to make friendships, but also learn new things for yourself. But pick a budget, stick to the budget. That's the biggest thing, so that you don't get carried away, and then it will make everything easier down the road. So, yeah, that's all I got. Well, guys, it's been fun showing you my van. Thank you for taking the time to watch it. And if you want to keep up with my van life journey, you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Allison_Bove. And if you need any help with digital marketing or you need help building out your own website, you can check out my business website, which is abovecreative.co. So yeah, thanks for joining, guys. Appreciate it.